Okay, good morning, everybody. Monday, July 12th. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Good morning. Calling the roll for the Monday, July 12th meeting. It is 11:01. We have Dale Miller,
Here.
Nan Baker. Here. Trevor Mackler serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones.
Here.
Nicole English serving as an alternate for Mike Dever.
Here.
Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Armin Budish.
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the fiscal officer.
Here.
Catherine Tkachuk.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is the review of the minutes from July 6th. I'm going to make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Councilwoman Baker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next is public comment. Anyone from the public wish to speak may do so now. Okay, we have no public comment. Moving on to contracts and awards.
First item, BC 2021-338, Department of Human Resources, submitting an amendment to a contract with WorksTime LLC for Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act third-party administrator services for the period May 1st, 2019 through April 30th, 2021, to extend the time period to April 30th, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $60,000.
Stephen Witt with the Department of Human Resources. This is an amendment to our contract with WorksTime. They are currently our provider for handling our processing and mailing of Form 1095s, which are required by the Affordable Care Act. They're the health insurance verification forms that you receive for filing your taxes. The reason for this amendment is to buy us some time to complete our RFP process, which is currently issued and will be awarded by the beginning of the next tax year, which starts 2022. This contract is a little bit late as we started it in December and January of this year, then had some issues receiving the signed documentation back from the vendor due to an issue with their internal ticketing system, which we've now resolved. Then once it originally went to a draft agenda. We then had to hold it and make some changes to the contract because we realized we had done the contract for the calendar year when we needed it to be for the tax year.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-339, Fiscal Office, submitting an amendment to a contract with Cogsdale Corporation for software support and maintenance services on the famous financial management system for the period April 1st, 2018 through March 31st, 2021, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2021, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $73,835.86.
Good morning, Michael Zappola, Fiscal Office, and may I say it's nice to see faces again. This is an amendment to an ongoing contract for the maintenance of our famous legacy system, primarily due to the interaction with the payroll system that is still in the ongoing conversion process to the ERP. This is lower than it's been in the past. Prorated dollars because we pulled off the fixed asset support. This process was started in January and has been just ongoing for quite some time due to communications issues both externally and internally, as well as some turnover issues with our buyer. So the time frame was selected by our IT department to go to the end of the year.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Yes, please.
So there was a series of questions on this particular item.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you explain the 74,000 as whether or not this is an ERP cost or whether or not this is, as you put it, a general fund operating expense? I mean, this has to land somewhere.
This has historically been paid out of the general fund. It's been an ongoing maintenance because it's a legacy system. We did have to extend it further because of the delays in the ERP process, but it is still being paid as a normal maintenance contract, the way it has been in the past.
Operational.
Yes, operation.
So we would not have had this operational cost if the ERP was on schedule. Is that fair to say?
You may have had another one after we go, with the normal there'll be ongoing maintenance with either system, but you're correct. Had we been done, this would have gone away, but, be included in the new one.
Are we doing we're not doing double, are we? Are we doing one for ERP and one for the old?
That's possibly, yeah. I would say possibly we are, yeah. But as far as whether this is part of the ERP or not, it's an operational cost at this point. It's debatable.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mackler?
Mike Chambers, do you know if, though the 74,000 is in, when Jack Ryan presents to council, is this in the projections related to the ERP costs? Because I know Famous, or this contract used to be, but do you know if this extension was included? I know you might not know that, I was just curious.
I have Mr. Ryan here, in fact. Maybe he can speak. Are you,
Oh,
Jack?
I didn't see Jack over there, sorry.
He's all tanned right now.
Yeah, no, coming off a vacation, kind of, I guess. Good morning, Jack.
Sorry, I'm just catching up here.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We're catching you off guard. But do you know if, within the new, I guess, the current ERP cost, is this additional cost for this Famous license?
This is, we've traditionally managed this as not part of the ERP implementation, as part of the general budget. And it's been that way since the beginning. So that's the short answer. If that's the question,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late appearing here.
So you're not including any of this in the ERP at all?
Not in the ERP implementation budget. Okay, no.
Right, okay. Does that answer your question then, Trevor?
Jack, I thought you had prior maintenance contracts for the Famous system in your projections.
Not in the implementation
Oh,
budget.
okay.
No, it's an operational cost. So it has been traditionally. If we weren't doing ERP, we'd still be doing operational cost on it.
But, we continue to pay this because of our delay. Do you put this in the ERP operation budget that you submit to us every once in a while?
Yeah, I think
Okay, so
I'd have
it's
to
in
double
there.
check that, but
Yeah,
I believe
okay.
it's in there, yeah, so.
So you have it noted in there, but it's not being charged to the ERP? It's just
It's not being charged to
okay.
ERP, I just want to be careful about which ERP bucket we're talking about
That's
here.
okay.
It's not an implementation capitalized cost. Okay.
May I follow on
Please,
that?
yeah.
So we do keep track of the, not implementation, but what do you call it?
ERP operational cost.
Operational. We do keep
Yes, ma'am.
track of operational.
Oh, sure, we
So
do.
is this included in that operational?
I will have to double check that, but I believe the answer is yes.
Okay, so is it fair to say that, as they said here, any future delays in the Infor payroll go live may cause additional amendments? So is it fair to say we're paying twice, once for the old and then once for probably some maintenance that's needed for the ERP?
Well, I wouldn't say twice, but there would be a continuing cost for all the expenses related to, in this case, payroll, until we convert. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions?
Any final questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. English. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next
Thank you.
item, thank you.
Next item, BC 2021-340, Department of Information Technology, on behalf of the Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with OPEX Corporation for licensing, support, and maintenance on Model 72 scanner for the period April 6, 2015 through April 5th, 2021, to extend the time period to April 5th, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $13,725.
Good morning, Janelle Green, on behalf of the Department of IT. This is an amendment to the contract with OPEX for this maintenance of the scanner services, which is proprietary, and there's no other alternatives for the maintenance. The core hardware that runs the OPEX environment is more than 6 years old at this point. The machine allows the document management areas to handle incoming mail more efficiently and frees up the staff to do other work while one operator processes the mail. On a typical day, this machine processes over 1,000 letters. What we have noticed in terms of the pricing over the last couple of years, it has gone down from 2019 when we had the last amendment to this contract. It went down about 7.5%. And this system is vital to processing the different areas at HHS.
Thank you, Janelle. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Mr. Meckler.
Good morning, Janelle.
Good morning.
Is this sole source then, if they are the only vendor that can do this?
Yes, it is. The last time we processed a sole source justification on this was in 2019 when we did the last amendment to this contract.
So do we require that they submit another sole source for this new extension, or?
We did not require it for this amendment.
Okay, so this isn't being processed as a sole source.
Right, it's being processed as an amendment.
Is there a reason why we didn't ask just for another sole source since we've already processed this as a sole source?
Honestly, it was to get it through the process faster. We already had delays with getting documents back from the vendor, and we figured if we added another document from them, it'll only delay it even longer. So we did want to make sure that we have that amendment go through.
I'm always cautious of you saying they're the only vendor if we don't do the sole source route.
Right, understood. And this system is created by OPEX, so we went to them for any ongoing maintenance and licensing. So that's what we went and processed for this item.
Additional questions?
Yes.
Councilman?
You sure? Okay, just a quick one.
Sure.
This is for, you may have said this, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating. This is just to extend it for 1 year,
Correct.
which we're already 3 months past that, so we're down to 8 months, maybe 8 or 9 months. Are you planning on extending this then another 5 years? And did I hear you say you're just?
Probably not another 5 years.
Okay.
Only because with IT equipment, it usually doesn't have that long of a shelf life. This one has been extended longer than probably most.
Okay.
We usually do a shelf life probably about 5 to 6 years. This one's, I think, in its 8th year, maybe
Okay.
around there. So we probably may do it another year and see where the equipment stands at that point, to see if we would need to just replace the equipment altogether at that point.
Okay, so 1 year and perhaps another year.
Mhm.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Miller?
So this system is described as helping process incoming mail. Can you explain what exactly the system does with the incoming mail and how it helps?
Sure. So when the mail comes in, each of the envelopes at HHS has like a barcode scanner on it. So it scans the envelopes that go through and processes those faster. And it's also can scan documents and distribute those to the areas in HHS. In this case, child support and JFS, and allow them to get the documents faster out to the different areas.
So I'm trying to figure out how this works in layman's terms. I mean, is it able to somehow figure out which letters deal with what issues or what?
Right. So yeah, the barcodes on each of the envelopes is coded to a specific area in HHS. So when they send out mailings to different constituents for whatever reason, there's a barcode on the envelope with the return envelope. So that machine can scan those envelopes and be able to, distribute as far as who those envelopes and the documents go to.
Technology marches on.
It definitely does.
Any final questions from the board? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2021-341, is being held at the request of the department.
Okay. Moving on to the following item then.
Next item, BC 2021-342, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Kronos Incorporated for maintenance and software support services on the Comprehensive Human Resources Management System for the period April 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2021, to extend the time period to March 31st, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $39,541.74.
Good morning, Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is our contract amendment with Kronos. We utilize this software for our time management in regards to human resources as well as our payroll function. And this is just for the maintenance and software support of that software that we're utilizing. So this is just to extend the time period for an additional year as well as to add in additional funding. We did receive some advanced questions and responded to those. If you have any further questions, please feel free.
Thank you, Sarah. Does the board have any additional questions?
So, is this contract no longer needed when payroll and WFM are operational on the ERP system?
We are actually currently working with county staff to look at what Kronos offers us and what the new payroll module will offer and see what is working for us, what may not work with us, and try to come to a happy medium. So we actually have some meetings scheduled for this month to try to continue to work through that. So we're hopeful that either maybe this won't be needed and we'll be able to utilize Infor, or we may look at going out for maybe some sort of an RFP if we need to. But we're definitely looking through all the different avenues.
Okay. Any additional questions? Councilwoman Baker?
In your conversations, I would hope that you would lean towards the Infor and try to do away with much of what we've been paying for because we haven't had the system to be able to absorb this. So for what it's worth, I hope that we can lean towards getting away from all these smaller needs and incorporate into the larger picture.
Mhm.
Okay, seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Councilwoman Baker, seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next
Thank you.
item.
Next item, BC 2021-343, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, submitting an RFP exemption on Requisition 5766, which will result in an award recommendation to Camp Ho Mita Coda Foundation in the amount not to exceed $9,300 for the Camp Hope Summer Program for the period August 1st, 2021 through August 31st, 2021, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. And we're requesting the exemption on this because we're funding this with our VOCA dollars. And Camp Hope Mita Coda was a specifically named partner in the grant application. This camp is a week-long summer camp for children who've been exposed to domestic violence, sexual assault, and/or child abuse. And there has been documented evidence that the Brief Hope intervention has proven to increase the well-being of these children. This is the only Camp Hope in the tri-state region, and camp this year will be the week of August 1st.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Are there any questions on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved.
Thank
Next
you.
item.
Next item, BC 2021-344, Sheriff's Department, requesting to amend Board Approval Number BC 2021-304, dated June 21st, 2021, which approved an award on a purchase order to School Outfitters LLC for the purchase of 12 additional flip-top training tables, 1 drafting height chair, and 32 stack chairs to allow for social distancing in the training room, by changing the amount from $5,822.90 to $6,310.59.
Laura Sims for the Sheriff's Department. We are requesting approval to change the amount of the original bid slightly because the quote expired, and so we needed to, in order to be able to submit the purchase order, we needed to increase the amount. I have some questions that were advanced, and I apologize for not being able to get to them. So the response was what kind of expenses will it be used for? Permissible use of funds for this grant or funds awarded under the program must be used to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the coronavirus. Allowable projects and purchases include but are not limited to overtime, equipment, including law enforcement, medical, personal protective equipment, hiring supplies such as gloves, masks, sanitizers, training, travel expenses, particularly related to the distribution of resources and addressing medical needs of inmates, state, local, travel, prison, jails, and detention centers. The other question, is this the entire amount of the grant? No, it's not. The total award was $58,000 and $58,008. And then how did it happen that the quote expired? I'm not exactly sure. I pulled the documentation from the Infor system, and the event was opened on April 29th, closed on May 5th, was submitted May 11th to OPD, and then not approved, and then approved June 6th. I printed out there's a lookup in the system, and it shows in the system that it timed out 3 times. I don't know what that means or how that works, but that's what happened. Then soon as it was, by the time it was approved, the quote was only for 30 days and it had expired. So now I can also tell you that even with this increase in the award, it is still the lowest bid of the ones that we got, even with the additional funds.
Okay,
So are you saying that it was initially not approved by the system and that's what caused it?
Truthfully, I don't know what happened to it. In the system, when I pull up the report, says there's 3 timeouts, that it was an OPD. I don't know what that means. It could be a whole variety of reasons for that happening.
we have someone here I think can answer that. Catherine, do you want to take a stab?
So I don't believe, and I haven't seen that, but I don't believe the timeout happens in the OPD. It normally is within the department. When the system first went live, okay, so this one, I'd have to look, but it shouldn't time out in an OPD queue. It should only time out in department queues, and then we've changed that. So I'll look into this one as
So
to
when it first
why.
went live, it was at one point, and we changed that
Then we
possibly?
changed that to extend that. So I'll have
Okay.
to look into that one. But again, I think this is also at a time there were a lot of items coming through, so that could be just an issue of if the timeout,
The volume?
the volume that happened.
Okay.
So, can we figure out what went wrong and what we need to do so that it doesn't happen?
Yeah, so we've made some changes in the system so that things don't time out at the OPD level. So again, I'll double check if this was involved in that. So we've actually made some changes to make sure that that doesn't happen. So we'll double check on that to see what happened there. But otherwise, we should have already adjusted that so you don't have timing out in the OPD queue.
Okay, we don't want to pay more money because we let bids expire.
I will add too, in addition to that, we did hire 4 buyers, and they're fully functioning now, which has really reduced the workload and the timeline. So that was also an issue. We had a lot of departments stealing our team members. Any additional questions on this item?
Just one, if I may.
Yes.
So 58,000 is the amount that you have. Is there anything left after this 6,300?
Oh, yeah, we bought a variety of different things, and I brought that just in case. One of the things that we got for it was Microshield, which is a service to spray the insides of the transport vehicles, particularly as they were transporting the inmates who were COVID positive. So it was kind of a barrier to help prevent that. The other thing that we got were media carts with the big television, and they roll. And so we got some for each of the divisions. They have the cart. It came with, we purchased the cart, the computer to go with it, the webcams, and the cables for each one of those. And so now each of the divisions has that. And we have been able to use that for training as well as, Teams meetings and things like that.
So is the 58,000, is this the last of it?
No, so once we get this done, we have another 10,000 left, and then 10,000 approximately, and we are looking, we haven't finalized what that is going to be used with. We were trying to get a particular kind of media cart that the jail needed, and unfortunately, we've been having issues with, like, what they picked out isn't necessarily compatible with our system, so we're kind of going back and forth trying to figure out what's going to happen with that, so it has yet to be determined.
And just to follow up,
Please,
is
yeah.
there a deadline to that 10,000 to be used?
Oh, it's a 3-year grant, and so we have another 2 years to expend all the funds, so there's no issue with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. Any follow-up questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank you. Next item, BC 2021-345, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Integrated Precision Systems Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $44,536.23 for a state contract purchase and installation of a video surveillance system at West Shore Neighborhood Family Service Center, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Morning, everyone. Dan Basta, Health and Human Services, on behalf of the Division of Children and Family Services. This is for purchase of camera systems at the West Shore Family Service Center. And we are using state contract because most of the security system that's already aligned in West Shore goes with IPS. And since it was already bid out by the state, we figured that would be a good way to purchase this. We have had some instances where we needed cameras there. Most recently, so be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dan. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Thank you,
Thank you.
Dan. Next item.
Moving on to exemptions, item BC 2021-346, Department of Development, recommending an alternative procurement process to solicit and receive applications from both nonprofit and for-profit entities for loans and grants to provide financial assistance to develop, retain, and support affordable rental housing for the period September 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2023.
Good morning. Paul Herdig with the Department of Development, filling in for Sarah Parks Jackson, who's having a well-earned vacation week. Actually, I'm told she's not on vacation. She's actually doing training for her sorority. So she's a very dynamic person. So I'll try to do this as well as Sarah would. We essentially, every year, we give developers the opportunity to request funding for affordable rental housing projects. In the past, we have only done one kind of funding, which is the Federal Home Program, and it's always been loans. So because it's always loans, we haven't needed an alternative procurement. Now, however, with the availability of several additional federal funding sources, and I'll say what I think they are. The home program itself has announced a large amount of money that may have slightly different rules. We're going to find out in September what those are. There's the Emergency Rental Assistance 2 program from the U.S. Treasury, which may perhaps be applicable to this. And finally, there's the possibility, if the administration should choose to program some of the American Rescue Plan money, it would be also in this way. So because of the variety of potential funding sources, we thought it was prudent to come for an alternative procurement process. What we will do is we'll post on our Development Department website after this approval, the availability of this funding. There will be an application form as there is every year. The applications will be received, be reviewed by our staff, and further reviewed by our Cuyahoga Housing Consortium Review Board, which is the way we've always done it.
Thank you, Paul. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-347, Office of the Medical Examiner, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Thales Dis USA Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $1,464,358 for hardware and software maintenance and support services for the automated fingerprint identification system for the period January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2025.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. You may remember last year, we had a contract with Thales that allowed us to purchase the upgrade of our automated fingerprint identification system for the fingerprint lab. It's also utilized by the sheriff's office and the jail to print prisoners as they come in. So this is the maintenance agreement that goes with the new system. We initially started this process to get this contract back at the end of last year. Sales was a little tardy in getting us the actual maintenance agreement, which caused us to, of course, delay because we didn't know exactly what costs we were going to incur. We also had, and this is part of the questions of why this item is coming to you half a year late. We had invoices for the final install did not get to us until December of last year. At that time, there were no other scheduled board meetings, and we did not have time to do an encumbrance. What we did not know is at the end of that year, because of that, the money that was used to pay that last invoice got swept at the reconciliation of the budget. When we realized that at the beginning of 2021, we had to utilize the money that was set aside for this maintenance agreement to pay for the work that had been done, knowing that we were going to have additional revenue coming in, and we had asked for an appropriation to restore the funds that got swept. So those caused a number of delays at the beginning of this year, along with Thales having made an error in their contract for about $500,000 more than what the contract ends up being, which is 1.4. So we had to do an exemption to get this passed. I understand that this will go to council, but we need the exemption first.
Okay, thank you, Hugh. Are there any questions from the board? Mr. Mackler, please.
Hugh, does this cover the sheriff's portion too? Is this all in for the annual maintenance?
This is all maintenance, yes.
Any additional questions? Councilwoman Baker.
Just curious why a 1.4 million would be late coming from this supplier. Why would he risk being late getting the process started?
So there was a lot of focus on the last payment for the work that they had done last year, and I'm not sure from their standpoint, corporate standpoint, who was in charge of what. It might have been the same same person handling the account, and because they were focused on the previous invoices, they didn't get it to us timely.
Do we, as a practice, go after them 30 days or 60 days before, knowing that this was going to be presented, to say, hey, where's your $1.4 million contract that needs to be approved?
So there's been quite a bit of back and forth communication with them throughout the year. Obviously, they had their levels of frustrations of not getting paid for the work that they had done last year, and we were speeding that through. We also had our procurement team transition with our old procurement person and now our new team. So that caused a number of delays on both sides throughout the process.
If I just may follow.
Please.
Do you think that they hesitated in continuing with us because of the delay that we had in paying them?
No, that wasn't the issue, although they had said, we do need to get this nailed down before there's any serious problem. So we have not paid them. There has been no need for any major maintenance issues with the system.
Okay.
So it has not been an issue yet.
So
Continue.
If we had had an issue between January 1st and now, and they hadn't been paid yet, how would they have reacted? Would they have come and done what they needed to do without being paid?
They indicated to us that when we've had contract with them now for a good 15 years, that they
honor
would
it?
do it in good faith, but they were not happy about it.
Okay.
Neither was I, so.
All right, well, thank you.
All good questions. Any additional questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Mackler. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item. Thanks, you.
Next item, BC 2021-348, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Early Childhood, submitting an RFP exemption on Requisition 6828, which will result in an award recommendation to Starting Point in the amount not to exceed $5,327,330 for management, administration, and implementation of various support services for the Universal Pre-Kindergarten Program for the period August 1st, 2021 through July 31st, 2024.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with the Office of Early Childhood and Best in Children. We are seeking an exemption with Starting Point for the management, administration, and implementation of various support services for our UPK program. Starting Point has been our longtime partners with the implementation of UPK. We are about to embark on a new 3-year master services contract for UPK beginning on August 1st. This contract corresponds with that one. Those 2 contracts, Starting Point and UPK, will be introduced at the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you, Marcos. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Moving on to consent agenda.
Yes, moving on to consent agenda items number BC 2021-349 through 354.
Ms. English, there was a question asked. Were you able to respond to that one or no?
Yes, Sharon sent them this morning
Did she?
to the
Great.
board, so.
Okay, cool. Board members, feel free to ask any questions. Take a moment to review.
Mr. Chair, I might have missed it, but did Nicole say Sharon sent over the 349 questions
Correct.
and answers? Okay, yeah, I think they're in the inbox.
Through an email. I can respond though quickly. I mean, the question was, why are we extending? There's some current tasks they're working on that we just want them to finish up. And then as far as how much is left on the contract, there's 8890, so 8,890 in unauthorized funds. However, there's just under 50,000 in tasks that have been authorized that haven't been billed yet. So that's the work that they're working on that we want to wrap up here. So there's the building that you're going to see, we're working with HHS on, Allegro is handling that. So there's a couple in-process tasks that we want them to wrap up.
So there are no dollars involved? It's just an
No.
extension of 6 months to complete what you've got in?
Correct. Yeah, it's a task-based contract, so we assign the tasks, there's a pot of money, and then as we're assigning the tasks, it comes down. So there's only about 9,000 that has been unauthorized, that doesn't have a task. I don't anticipate using any of that. It's really wrapping up that 50,000 or so that's out there.
Okay, good.
Does the board have any questions on today's consent agenda items? Or do we need more time? Be happy to wait. Okay, move to approved. Second it. Moved by Councilman Miller, seconded by Trevor McAleer. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Today's consent agenda is approved. Moving on to other business.
There's no other business.
No other business. At this time, if anyone from the public wishes to speak, may do so now. Okay, there is no public comment. I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.